Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is David Novak. This is going to be the second in a series of 3 readings of the poems of Claude McKay, which are not sonnets. Now I have also done 2 readings of his sonnets. So I will put links to these various readings in the description box below. I have said many a time that this is the book I recommend if you wish to read more Claude McKay, the selected poems of Claude McKay. I have his complete poems, but most of what it contains, which is not in this book, is defective. And indeed, at least one poem that I saw which is in this and also in the complete is in the complete in a defective version. Now I'm not a Claude McKay scholar, so I don't know the stories behind all of the poems and the various versions. I do intend to spend some more time in depth with his complete, but it came in a couple of weeks ago, and just a cursory glance through it, I realized that my first impression years ago had not been wrong. That is to say, I didn't care for the book very much. It doesn't matter to me. Claude McKay is our great poet, the great American poet. He is contemporary with T.S. Eliot. It is certain, of course, that Claude McKay knew the poetry of T.S. Eliot. Whether that was reversed is much less certain. The famous "If We Must Die," a sonnet of Claude's, was allegedly read by Winston Churchill in the House of Commons. I would assume that it was heard across the spectrum, but whether it registered in any special way, it is hard to say. I first encountered it in my Norton anthology, which was used for a class, a shorter version. Well, I had 2 different editions of the shorter version. One of them contained the poem, and only that one poem, by Claude McKay, and the other one did not. So it was omitted, and other anthologies that I have seen often would omit the works of Claude McKay until it became more fashionable to include the work of Black writers or persons of color, as the phrase goes today, etc., etc. I don't know still how the poetry of Claude McKay stands in the academia, if it is studied much. Even in, say, high school, we had to study a lot of, say, Robert Frost. We studied Emily Dickinson as well. I think that this was a great omission, that we did not study Claude McKay, and I don't see why he is not more studied, if indeed things continue as they were. Every single book, every single poem in this book is worthwhile. Speaking of Claude McKay's other books, I've never been a huge fan of his prose. I've attempted a novel or 2. Some of his journalism is very good. I read his autobiographical memoir, A Long Way From Home, and I don't remember being as thrilled with it as just the straight up biography of Claude McKay, which I read years ago. The one I read was by Wayne Cooper. I've read another since, but the one by Wayne Cooper still seems to be I can't think of the right word, seems to be the best touchstone for Claude's life, as opposed to his autobiographical memoir, because he omitted things. I'll leave it at that. So let me just plunge right into some of these poems. As I say, I'm going to skip the sonnets and will provide you a link if you want to hear his sonnets. Well, this selection, we will start with one of my favorites. As I say, I like all of his poems, and we will end with one of my favorites as well. This one is titled, "O Word I Love to Sing." O word I love to sing, thou art too tender for all the passions agitating me. For all my bitterness, thou art too tender. I cannot pour my red soul into thee. O haunting melody, thou art too slender, too fragile, like a globe of crystal glass. For all my stormy thoughts, thou art too slender. The burden from my bosom will not pass. O tender word, O melody so slender, O tears of passion saturate with brine, O words, unwilling words, ye cannot render my hatred for the foe of me and mine. So I am beginning with poems from the second section in this collection under the heading of baptism, and I will continue through poems under the third section, Americana. This one is titled "The Desolate City." My spirit is a pestilential city, with misery triumphant everywhere, glutted with baffled hopes and human pity. Strange agonies make quiet lodgment there. Its sewers, bursting, ooze up from below, and spread their loathsome substance through its lanes, flooding all areas with their evil flow, and blocking all the motions of its veins. Its life is sealed to love or hope or pity. My spirit is a pestilential city. Above its walls, the air is heavy wet, brooding in fever mood and hanging thick, round empty tower and broken minaret, settling upon the tree-tops, stricken sick and withered under its contagious breath. Their leaves are shriveled silver, parched decay, like wilting creepers trailing underneath the chalky yellow of a tropic way. Round crumbling tower and leaning minaret, the air hangs fever-filled and heavy wet. And all its many fountains no more spurt, within the dammed-up tubes they tide and foam. Around the drifted sludge and silted dirt, and weep against the soft and liquid loam. And so the city's ways are washed no more. All is neglected and decayed within. Clean waters beat against its high-walled shore in furious force, but cannot enter in. The suffocated fountains cannot spurt. They foam and rage against the silted dirt. Beneath the ebon gloom of mounting rocks, the little pools lie poisonously still, And birds come to the edge in forlorn flocks, and utter sudden plaintive notes and shrill, pecking at strangely gray-green substances, but never do they dip their bills and drink. They twitter sad beneath the mournful trees, and fretfully flit to and from the brink, in little gray-brown, green and purple flocks, beneath the jet gloom of the mounting rocks. And green-eyed moths of curious design, with gold-black wings and rarely silver dotted, on nests of flowers among those rocks recline, bold burning blossoms, strangely leopard spotted, but breathing deadly poison from their lips. And every lovely moth that wanders by and from the blossoms fatal nectar sips is doomed to drooping stupor, there to die. All green-eyed moths of curious design that on the fiercely burning blooms recline. Oh, cold as death is all the loveliness that breathes out of the strangeness of the scene, and sickening like a skeleton's caress of clammy, clinging fingers, long and lean. Above it float a host of yellow flies, circling in changeless motion in their place, that came down snow-thick from the freighted skies, swarming across the gluey floor of space. Oh, cold as death is all the loveliness, and sickening like a skeleton's caress. There was a time when, happy with the birds, the little children clapped their hands and laughed, and midst the clouds the glad winds heard their words, and blew down all the merry ways to waft the music through the scented fields of flowers. Oh, sweet were children's voices in those days, before the fall of pestilential showers that drove them forth far from the city's ways. Now never, never more their silver words will mingle with the golden of the birds. Gone, gone forever, the familiar forms to which the city once so dearly clung, blown worlds beyond by the destroying storms, and lost away like lovely songs unsung. Yet life still lingers, questioningly strange, timid and quivering, naked and alone, against the cycle of disruptive change, though all the fond familiar forms are gone. Forever gone, the fond familiar forms, blown worlds beyond by the destroying storms. I came out here without my cup, and my lips are parched. A prayer. Mid the discordant noises of the day, I hear thee calling. I stumble as I fare along earth's way. Keep me from falling. Mine eyes are open, but they cannot see for gloom of night. I can no more than lift my heart to thee for inward light. The wild and fiery passion of my youth consumes my soul. In agony I turn to thee for truth and self-control. For passion and all the pleasures it can give will die the death, but this of me eternally must live, thy borrowed breath. Mid the discordant noises of the day, I hear thee calling. I stumble as I fare along earth's way. Keep me from falling. I'm just reacquainting myself with McKay's prosody, and I have to say that poem, The Desolate City, my spirit is a pestilential city, that the form of those stanzas is just marvelous. The way he takes the initial quatrain and then uses two lines from it very deliberately in a closing couplet to the stanza. It's just marvelous how he did that. He is definitely on par with Yeats in his stanza constructive abilities, I would say. Now, my familiarity with Claude's verse is mostly with his sonnets, which I have loved most strenuously and dearly over the years. So a poem like The Desolate City is not so familiar to me, and now I just see so much more in it than I ever did. Just thematically, the range of what he is discussing really, again, you can see that he is a contemporary of T.S. Eliot. He is a peer of Eliot for sure. But then when it comes, as I said in that sonnet of mine years ago, that his iambic pentameter is unrivaled. I mean, in that aspect, he's even better than William Butler Yeats, to be sure. And Eliot is a different matter altogether. I'm crossing over these sonnets and just would love to throw them in as well. This one is pretty well known, I think, titled Harlem Shadows. I hear the halting footsteps of a lass in Negro Harlem when the night lets fall its veil. I see the shapes of girls who pass to bend and barter at desire's call. Oh, sorry, it should be an ah, not an oh. Let me start that one again. Harlem Shadows. I hear the halting footsteps of a lass in Negro Harlem when the night lets fall its veil. I see the shapes of girls who pass to bend and barter at desire's call. Ah, little dark girls who in slippered feet go prowling through the night from street to street. Through the long night until the silver break of day, the little gray feet know no rest. Through the lone night until the last snowflake has dropped from heaven upon the earth's white breast, the dusky, half-clad girls of tired feet are trudging thinly shod from street to street. Ah, stern, harsh world, that in the wretched way of poverty, dishonor, and disgrace has pushed the timid little feet of clay, the sacred brown feet of my fallen race. Ah, heart of me, the weary, weary feet in Harlem wandering from street to street. Of course, we are living in a time when Harlem is being gentrified, and immigrants such as Claude McKay are being kidnapped without any due process accorded them and spirited off to concentration camps and the like. When dawn comes to the city, the tired cars go grumbling by, the moaning, groaning cars, and the old milk carts go rumbling by under the same dull stars. Out of the tenements, cold as stone, dark figures start for work. I watch them sadly shuffle on. 'Tis dawn, dawn in New York. But I would be on the island of the sea, in the heart of the island of the sea, where the cocks are crowing, 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 and the hens are cackling in the rose apple tree, where the old draft horse is neighing, 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 out on the brown dew-silvered lawn, and the tethered cow is lowing, 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 and dear old Ned is braying, 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 and the shaggy nanny goat is calling, 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 from her little trampled corner of the long, wide lea that stretches to the waters of the hill stream falling sheer upon the flat rocks joyously. There, oh there, on the island of the sea, there would I be at dawn. The tired cars go grumbling by, the crazy, lazy cars, and the same milk carts go rumbling by under the dying stars. A lonely newsboy hurries by, humming a recent ditty. Red streaks strike through the gray of the sky. The dawn comes to the city. But I would be on the island of the sea, in the heart of the island of the sea, where the cocks are crowing, 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 and the hens are cackling in the rose apple tree, where the old draft horse is neighing, 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 out on the brown dew-silvered lawn, and the tethered cow is lowing, 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 and dear old Ned is braying, 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 and the shaggy nanny goat is calling, 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 from her little trampled corner of the long, wide lea that stretches to the waters of the hill stream falling, sheer upon the flat rocks joyously. There, oh there, on the island of the sea, there would I be at dawn. Parallel to this, but it will go on longer, I am doing a reading of poems from each and every one of my books, at least that has gone through the self-pub process. So I am reacquainting myself with my old poems as well, which I have not touched in longer than I have Claude McKay's poems. And as I say, I haven't read some of these for a very long time. So I am seeing just how much, particularly in my early poems, just how much I owe the versification of this man. I mean, this one, When Dawn Comes to the City, there's a poem in my first book, Embodiment and Release, not one that I read, but it's sort of a fantasy. It has a little Poe sound to it as well. You were young and I was young when we met and were born in the sea. So our soul sang and flew through the red and the blue of the dazzling depths of the sea. And the song we did sing was imparted by spring and joined in by each natural thing, and so forth. I don't have it in front of me, but just there are lines in that which obviously came from hearing this. Just what a mind, what a treasure, I don't know what the word is. It's like one of those fantastical Ali Baba's caves in the Arabian Nights. I mean, it's just replete with all these treasures. I mean, and I'm speaking here largely from a standpoint of the prosody of it. And I don't think that the other poets writing at the time were likely to have paid that close attention. As I say, every poem in this book is worthwhile, and to me, this compilation is practically a perfect book of poetry. I should investigate, maybe go back into the biography and see how much of a hand Claude had in the putting together of this compilation. The City's Love. For one brief golden moment, rare like wine, the gracious city swept across the line, oblivious of the color of my skin, forgetting that I was an alien guest. She bent to me, my hostile heart to win, caught me in passion to her pillowy breast. The great, proud city, seized with a strange love, bowed down for one flame hour, my pride to prove. I have been trying to split these poems up so that I would get three separate readings of his poems that are not sonnets, and I just realized that this reading has contained three of his longer lyrics, and so perhaps I should, instead of closing on the poem I had intended, perhaps I should close earlier. I may just go ahead, since I built it up already as being one of my favorites. This one is just magnificent as well. On Broadway. About me, young and careless feet linger along the garish street. Above 100 shouting signs shed down their bright, fantastic glow upon the merry crowd and lines of moving carriages below. Oh, wonderful is Broadway, only my heart is lonely. Desire naked, linked with passion, goes strutting by in brazen fashion. From playhouse, cabaret, and inn, the rainbow lights of Broadway blaze, all gay without, all glad within. As in a dream I stand and gaze at Broadway, shining Broadway, only my heart is lonely. There is just so much to admire in these verses. When I was speaking about his prosody, I can think right off of one habit or trick that I picked up from Claude, this idea of having a first stanza that is then repeated as the final stanza. And I've managed that fairly well. I mean, I'm not saying he is the only poet who has done that. Not at all. It's fairly commonplace. But I'm sure I picked it up in some measure from Claude's poetry. But there are so many other things which he does, which I could never do, and it's just really remarkable. I mean, that's how poetry is. French leave. No servile little fear shall daunt my will this morning. I have courage steeled to say, I will be lazy, conqueringly still. I will not lose the hours in toil this day. The roaring world without, careless of souls, shall leave me to my placid dream of rest. My four walls shield me from its shouting ghouls, and all its hates have fled my quiet breast. And I will loll here resting, wide awake, dead to the world of work, the world of love. I lays contented just for dreaming's sake, with not the slightest urge to think or move. How tired unto death, how tired I was. Now for a day I put my burdens by, and like a child amidst the meadow grass, under the southern sun, I languid lie, and feel the bed about me kindly deep, my strength ooze gently from my hollow bones, my worried brain drift aimlessly to sleep, like softening to a song of tuneless tones. Just magnificent stuff. A Song of the Moon. The moonlight breaks upon the city's domes and falls along cemented steel and stone, upon the grayness of a million homes, lugubrious in unchanging monotone, upon the clothes behind the tenement that hang like ghosts suspended from the lines, linking each flat, but to each indifferent, incongruous and strange the moonlight shines. There is no magic from your presence here, so moon, sad moon, tuck up your trailing robe, whose silver seems antique and too severe against the glow of one electric globe. Go spill your beauty on the laughing faces of happy flowers that bloom 1,000 hues, waiting on tiptoe in the wilding spaces to drink your wine mixed with sweet draughts of dews. I think if I had but two books to carry with me from this time period, it would be the quartets of T.S. Eliot and this compilation of Claude McKay. With those, I don't think you need any more poetry from that period. I would, of course, like an edition of Eliot's four quartets that included somehow in a footnote Prufrock, but the quartets and this. I think I'll stop with this next poem, so I'll cut it a little short tonight. Oh wait, there's two. I'll read two more. Morning Joy. At night the wide and level stretch of wold, which at high noon had basked in quiet gold, far as the eye could see was ghostly white. Dark was the night, save for the snow's weird light. I drew the shades far down, crept into bed, hearing the cold wind moaning overhead through the sad pines. My soul, catching its pain, went sorrowing with it across the plain. At dawn, behold, the pall of night was gone, save where a few shrubs, melancholy, lone, detained a fragile shadow. Golden-lipped, the laughing grasses heaven's sweet wine sipped. The sun rose smiling by the river's breast, and my soul, by his happy spirit blessed, soared like a bird to greet him in the sky, and drew out of his heart eternity. Yeah, that can easily stand against Robert Frost, I think. What was it? Never would birds' songs be the same. And I have to say, coming to poetry from the English tradition, you notice right off in his verses that his vocabulary is much more of our time. The word weird occurs in more than one poem in this compilation, and always used just so perfectly. When I was a kid, they taught us that it was not a word that one should use, and of course, Claude McKay speaks differently. Winter in the country. Sweet life, how lovely to be here, and feel the soft sea-laden breeze strike my flushed face, the spruces fair, free limbs to see, the lesser trees, bare hands to touch, the sparrows cheap to heed and watch his nimble flight above the short brown grass asleep. Love glorious in his friendly might, music that every heart could bless, and thoughts of life serene, divine, beyond my power to express, crowd round this lifted heart of mine. But oh, to leave this paradise for the city's dirty basement room, where beauty hidden from the eyes, a table, bed, bureau, and broom in corner set, 2 crippled chairs all covered up with dust and grim, with hideousness and scars of years, and gaslight burning weird and dim, will welcome me. And yet, this very wind, the winter birds, the glory of the soft sunset, come there to me in words. I'll cut off there. This will make for a bit of a longer read next time, I think. Well, why don't I give you one more and read Subway Wind. Far down through the city's great gaunt gut, the gray train rushing bears the weary wind. In the packed cars, the fans, the crowd's breath cut, leaving the sick and heavy air behind. And pale-cheeked children seek the upper door to give their summer jackets to the breeze. Their laugh is swallowed in the deafening roar of captive wind that moans for fields and seas. Seas cooling warm where native schooners drift through sleepy waters, while gulls wheel and sweep, waiting for windy waves the keels to lift lightly among the islands of the deep. Islands of lofty palm trees blooming white that lend their perfume to the tropic sea, where fields lie idle in the dew-drenched night, and the trades float above them fresh and free. These are all poems with which I am not overly familiar, but I am just deriving so much joy from them. The one that I read just before this, Winter in the Country, you really should have this book and look at it. It is, when you first read it, and so we're talking decades ago for me, it is just so odd. And now, all these decades later, I just see what he is doing, and it is just so incredibly sophisticated, as with one of the poems from the last reading that I did. But I don't need to go into that here. Anyhow, so the next reading, if I do it tomorrow, I may not. There may be a break here because I'm going to be busy. But Claude McKay worked on the railroad, and so the first poem that I will begin the next reading with is Alfonso dressing to wait at table. Alfonso is a handsome, bronze-hued lad, so that gives you a intimation of what is to come. Thank you for stopping by my channel.